In this video, we're going to take a look at another measure of center. And this measure of center is called the median. The median is a little different in that the mean, we looked at all of the data points, added them all together, so every data point impacted our answer. The median is more concerned with the location in the list that represents the center. To find it, the very first thing we're going to do is sort our list of data from smallest to largest. And then we're going to work from the outside in to locate the center location in the list. And I usually do that by crossing off the outside values as I work my way inward. And one of two things will happen. If your list has an odd number of data points in it, that means as you cross those data points off pairwise, there should be a single value that didn't have a buddy left in the middle. That middle number is your median. If, on the other hand, you have a list that has an even number of data points, 10, 12, 20, 100, when you cross off the data pairwise, you're going to be left with 2 digits in the middle of your list. The median sits between those 2 middle numbers. To find it, you're going to find the average of those 2 middle numbers. Add them, divide by 2. That works really well because we can do that quickly for short lists of data. For longer lists of data, or data that's grouped, we're going to do the same process we did with the mean. And I'm going to scooch up here a little bit, and you'll notice that steps 1 and 2 look exactly as they did in our last video for the mean. Because when we calculate the mean with 1var stats, the calculator calculates a whole bunch of other stuff with it, including the median. You may have to use the down arrow to scroll down, as the median may show up just off the screen. So if you don't see it in the initial output, press the down arrow until you see MED, and that value is your median. We're going to go ahead and do 2 examples. I'm going to do the first one by hand, and then we'll do the second one with a calculator because it's grouped. So for example 1, we have a list of raw data, and I know to find the median, I need to list it in order. So I see a 1 and a 1. I see a 2. I see 2 3s. I see 3 4s. I see 3 5s. I see a 7. I see 1, 2, 3 9s. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 10s. And let me scoot my list down because I need space for those last 2 10s. So making a prediction, I know that my data is in a 4x5 table, so I've got 20 data points. That's an even numbered list, so I expect I'm going to end up with 2 numbers in the middle that don't have buddies. But let's start by crossing this off pairwise. You'll notice as I'm working, I'm alternating the direction of those hash marks so I can clearly see which data values paired up as I'm crossing things off. And as you can see, here my middle 2 numbers are both 5. My median normally would sit between them, but since both of those values are the same, for this data set, my median is just 5. Notice that I didn't need to know what the data values were down here, and I didn't need to know what the data values were up here I was just crossing them off pairwise. What a median does is it cuts it in half into two equal count chunks, where half the data is the same as or less than, and half the data is the same as or greater than. But I don't know anything else about that data other than where it sits relative to whatever that middle number is. So in this case, half of my data should be 5 or less. Half of my data should be 5 or more. Let's go ahead and use our calculator to do that for our grouped data example. So fortunately for us, we did this with our last example. So if I go stat enter, I can see that data already in lists. And to run one var stats, I'm going to go stat calc and then enter, and then tell it that my frequencies are in list 2. And on my calculator, it defaults to the bottom. I can see that my median for this list is 2. That makes sense. I can see that I have more data up here than I do down here, so I expect my median would be closer to 2 than it would be to 1, just based on how that data is distributed in the table. All right. If you have any questions on how to calculate the median, either by hand or with your calculator, feel free to send me an email or drop by office hours. Otherwise, I will see you in our next video.